Hi, I'm Ashley, the Monogram Mompreneur. Welcome to our channel if you're new here. In today's video, we're going to show you how to embroider hats on our Melco EMT16x Embroidery Machine. What are you doing?
I'm showing my hat.
This is my husband, Brian, if you're new here. And he has become such an expert on embroidering hats. I let him do all the hats. I even let you use the machine by yourself now, right?
Both of them.
Both machines. So today we are going to fulfill some orders. We have some what they call dad caps, or what are they called? Soft? Unstructured hats. But as you can see, he is wearing a structured hat. And the Melco does great on both types of hats. So let's go ahead. He's going to show you the entire process. We had our Melco trainer really dive into hats for us. And so you got it down pretty good.
I got it down, but now talking to you about it, I'm getting a little nervous.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to show you the exact process. And we'll get these orders out today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what type of stabilizer do you have?
So this is hat stabilizer. I know you're going to put a link in the thing, but we got it off of Amazon. Big roll. And we'll get into why stabilizer is so important and how to make sure that the stabilizer is actually on the hoop frame. I know for the longest time I would put the stabilizer and just lay it there. But guess what? When it's not actually attached to the frame, it was just going like this. And so it never really came out good. The trainer that came in, she was amazing. And so we're hoping we can pass some along that knowledge to you.
So we have some pigment dyed hats. We got these from S&S Activewear. And so we have this black color, olive, and orange. Wow, we got an orange order. That's exciting.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a white cross on each of these using some puff and making sure we stabilize it appropriately. And our big thing, because it's a cross, we got a straight line down the center. We want to make sure that that cross stays straight on the line here. So the presentation's everything for us. So hopefully we can show you how that's done. All
right, so he is going to go over to the hat hoop. So we'll be using the Melco EMT16x Embroidery Machine. More information about this machine will be linked in the description box below if you're interested. This machine is so good for hats. What do you think?
I love it.
So we already have our hat hoop on the machine. We've already prepped it, made sure the bobbins in there. And so now he's over here on with the fixture. You know, I don't know all the technical terms, but this is the hat hoop thingy. And that's what it looks like.
So we're going to give you some non-technical terms here. So we're going to call this the base, and then we're going to call this the hoop. And we're going to put the hoop onto the base so that way we can actually hoop the hat. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So first things first is we want our groove to line up with the groove on top. Right. See that? And then you're going to get a snap. Once it's in there, now we can hoop the hat. So when it comes to our stabilizer, like I talked about in the beginning, we would put a sheet right here and then put our hat on, but then this had nothing to attach to and it would move, and then we wouldn't get good quality stitches on the end process. So what we learned is that we need to use these handles right here. I'm going to call these the handlebars. Okay? And so we want to wrap around the handlebars and leverage the teeth on the top, because that's where the hat is going to make sure that it doesn't slide anywhere. So leverage the handlebars, because then we're going to clip the hat and this all together so everything stays nice and tight. So we're going to wrap, get it nice and tight. And then once we do that, I lock it in by tucking it around at the top. That's step number one. Got it?
Got it.
Step number two is we like an extra sheet of stabilizer, because you can never have enough stabilizer when it comes to hats. So we're going to lay that on top. Step number three, take out the insert of the hat. Step number four, we're going to do this in the step-by-step process if you haven't figured this out yet. We're going to pull open the band and we're going to slide that over. And so remember the teeth that are aligned. We want the teeth to be on this side of the brim of our hat right here. So that way when we actually have it locked in and we're pushing down, the whole hoop should slide because of those teeth. So we want to make sure that our groove right here, our center line, is close to our center line here. And then we're going to start by making a little fold on the hat so we can get our hat hoop around. What we learned early on is don't have your face over here and flip this around because it could hurt. So then, remember the teeth on the bottom? We actually have teeth on the top of this. So we're going to use these teeth to go right inside this seam. And then on the other side, come on, get in here, girl. We're going to do another fold. And then we're going to get this hook latched right there. So now it's in place. Okay. Next step, we have a nice base here. So we want to flatten out everything as much as possible before we lock it in. So that way we don't get any folds or anything when we finally clamp it together. So what I like to do is I'll always go and pull my center line to the left of the line here. So that way when I actually tighten it,
and he clamped it right here,
you'll see that it's going to pull everything nice and tight. And it's going to be pretty much in line with that. And then we want to smooth this out. So now we're just going to take it off of our base. We're going to take the hoop off of the base. And now everything is ready to go to be placed on the embroidery machine. Now to put it on the embroidery machine, we go sideways to get it past our front. And then we're going to twist. So and then, just like we have the groove on this, there's a groove right here in the center. Right there. So there's a groove right here which is going to match with the groove that is on our base there.
Okay.
And so now when we slide this on, we're going to line up our groove with our gap, and then we're going to push our clips. And you got 3 of them, so you got to make sure all 3 clip. 2, and then 3, and then you're going to hear a click. And now you're locked into the machine. So we wanted to do a quick high-level step process of what we do when it comes to the software to make sure that it knows that we're 1, embroidering on a puff, and 2, how we select the color. So you can see in the video that it's upside down on the screen, and that's because that's the placement that we want it to be on the hat. We don't want the hat to be like this. Right? So, but what we want to do, because we are doing puff, we can clear all this and I can show you how to set that up. So we're using the white thread, which is number 9. So we're going to click 9. Then we're going to click on top of that. And we're using a 2mm puff. So because that's clicked, when we check this, it's going to automatically attach, and you'll see it puts a star right there next to it, or an asterisk. And then all we're going to do is hit apply, hit OK, and it's ready to go.
Alright, so you see we have it upside down, we have our hoop, which is the red WACF, and then another important thing to note is we had this design digitized, and we had it digitized especially for hats and puffs. So there's a specific way, I think it's
inside out.
Inside out for hats. So just something to note of, if you are submitting stuff to be digitized, make sure they know you're doing it for a hat. They should do it inside out, down up, so you don't have that bunch at the bottom. So just another tip for you.
So next step for us is, because we're doing a cross that's going to go directly on this center seam, we want to make sure the center seam is exactly straight and not off, or otherwise we'll have a cross that's going crooked and it doesn't look good on a straight seam. So what we do is we go all the way to the front. So to run the laser, we're just going to go to the square button and push it up, and you're going to see the laser's going to light up. We want to get the light onto our center seam, so that way when we ride it back, so now we're going to ride it down that line. We're going to push, so we're going to push the square, and then we're going to push the down arrow to come back this way closer towards us. And you're going to see that that is lying right nicely on that line. So now our next step is we want to lock that in so there's no movement on this part. So this is where, remember I told you we had the handlebars? So we're going to leverage those handlebars. I'm going to hold this down, make sure I don't create too much movement with our laser to keep it straight. And so we use the clips, clip the handlebar, that's going to also clip the stabilizer, and it's going to lock everything in place. This is our final lock-in process. So then I want to make sure that we're nice and tight here. So you see our laser's still on our center line.
Yeah.
Got it? And then we're going to lock in our last handlebar, which is going to lock in not only the hat, but also the stabilizer. So now everything is nice and tight and ready to go.
Now, do you do this with the structured hat or just the unstructured?
I do it with both. The structured doesn't have as much movement. It stays a lot more straight. The unstructured does have a little more movement the further away you get from the brim of the hat.
Okay.
And so we really want to lock these in. Next step for us is we want to do placement of our cross. So we leverage these little stickers, and we want, when we do our cross, the bottom of our trace to go right to this top arrow. So now we're going to hit square and go back towards the bill of the hat, and typically it's about right there. And we're going to do trace, which is square and the star in the top left corner. We're going to square, hit that, and it's going to trace. And we're pretty much right where we want to be. I'm going to go down because it seemed like it was a little high. We're going to remove that. So next step is our laser's right in the center. But when you look at it, our needle is a little bit to the left. The laser's always going to be a slight to the right. So we want to go over, for us, about 5 pushes. And so what that's going to be is just like we were going with the other arrows, we're going to go to the right. And this is 4 and 5. And so I'm going to go back. We want to make sure that our needle is directly on that center. So what we do is we push and we do a manual.
So that's the emergency stop button.
So we're going to push the technical term, it sounds like, is emergency stop button. And then there's a handle up in here. You want to get up in there?
Yeah.
This bar. See that? And we're just going to twist the bar to the right. And then that's going to bring the needle down. And you can see it's almost right on the center seam. That means we're in a really good position for when we do the cross. To release that, you're just going to do a right turn to the emergency stop button. It's going to pop out. And now we feel like we're in a really good position to start doing our stitch out. We do want to use some foam when we're doing our stitch out, our puff, so that way we can get it raised off of the hat and not be sunk in.
So we have a 3D puff design.
3D puff design. And then we're going to get that laid out. We want to...
Look at that precision. I just want to say, look at all these crosses he's gotten on this foam.
Oh, we can get millions on one sheet of foam.
Okay.
So
now,
last steps is...
Are we threaded?
We're threaded. Everything's ready to go. So you've already done all the good stuff. The behind the scenes where you've already oiled and dusted out. Next step is you could tape this down.
You should tape this down.
We like to not use anything that we don't need to, and our fingers are good here.
He scares me every time he does this, so just use tape, but always keep your face away from the machine, as I always tell him.
You probably should wear some safety glasses.
But he's going to do it how he always does it, so I'm going to show you the process, but try not to do this at home.
Alright, so then everything we feel like is ready to go. We're just going to push the green button to start. It's going to start. And then I do what I'm not supposed to do.
No, don't do that one.
And I clip that top little stitch so that way it doesn't come out and stick out and make the stitch out not look as good. I'm a little nervous. So now we take our clamps off, and now we're going to push the 3 buttons that lock it in. We're going to release that. So there's one on each side at the top, and there's one down here in the bottom left. We twist to get it off the machine, and then now we've got it on there. We'll pull our puff off.
Let's see how you did in the pressure. Woo, looks really good.
So the one thing with puff is the puff will kind of poke through some of the stitches. So we just use our heat gun to finish it off and to clean it up. And then it's ready to go.
So some people like to use lighters. We found when we used a lighter, we ended up burning a lot of hats. So the heat gun is the way to go. It's so much safer, I would say, and a lot easier.
Yeah, we didn't want to burn our house down.
Do you like the pink?
I love it. Does it look good on me?
It does look good.
So now we're going to turn on the heat gun.
Make sure you hold it correctly.
This is a heat gun too, just in case anybody was wondering. This is where the heat gun breathes. First one we had, I would hold it right here, and then guess what? It stopped breathing, and it died. So, don't have that covered. What we learned during this process is that we want to keep the heat gun moving, and we don't want to burn any parts of the hat or the stitches. But you can see how it's cleaning up any of the pokies that you had sticking out.
Wow, it looks so good. It looks great.
Final step in the process is unclamp it, take it off of the hoop. Your stabilizer's inside. I hold that, pull it off. So a couple things that we've learned throughout this process that are very important. One is making sure that you're clipping to the handlebars. That helps everything to stay nice and tight. Two is when you use puff, make sure you use the heat gun or otherwise it doesn't look good. I got very frustrated early on because I didn't realize a heat gun was needed. And I was like, man, this looks terrible. But it's just the puff sticking out. So the heat gun just dries up, shrinks up the puff a little bit, and really solidifies everything and makes it look nice and crisp.
Oh yeah. So here is a time lapse from start to finish of Brian embroidering a hat so you can see it all together. So we were able to get done, how many hats?
7 hats.
7 hats, and I was filming him for like probably 5 of the 20 minutes that we stitched these out in. Super quick. Again, not all designs are going to be that quick, but hats can be super profitable for your small business. So I definitely, do you love the Melco for hats?
Love it. Yeah.
Oh, he has grown to just fall in love with the Melco, especially for hats. It is so good at hats. And these were the 3D puff design that's super popular right now. 3D puff is everywhere. So make sure you check out the link below if you're interested in a Melco. And we'll try to link everything we used today in the description box below. Anything else?
Put some comments in there because we need to know what your questions are so we can help you out.
Yeah, and if there's any type of tutorial that you'd like to see on the Melco or any other type of machine, let us know in the comments below. And until next time, bye for now.
Hey you over there. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not.